before he came, he was already making millions of dollars a year. And not being happy, whereas most people believe, or some of you know, that if you made millions of dollars, you'd be happier. But for all the stuff I beat the shit out of the first 2.5 days, that ain't gonna make you happy. That's not gonna make you happy. It's transitory. His communication skills, and he's still not a world-class speaker, but his communication skills from when the first time I met him and he couldn't look me in the eye and he had to hold his jaw because his chin shook, are significantly better. Significantly better. But he was what was a little garbled in the beginning. He came through with the Josh Kim group, and there were 6 or 7 hitters in that group. I don't know if it was the food, or we changed chefs, or I don't know what the hell it was, but we had, including himself, we had, I think there were 18 people, and a third of them all went, or are destined for the Hall of Fame. They just, hit it out of the park. Josh being one of them. And it's just, but he does it pretty well. How he, and then you go back to your shitty apartment or house, and he walks you through. And his isn't so shitty, by the way. But and the cars he drives are the cars that you want. But he and Josh and the other guys immerse themselves in a dose of Dan. And what are the takeaways, if any, from listening to Dr. Joe? Again, he's a vascular surgeon. He's a Thai, I believe, and he went to school here, not here, in the United States. I believe he went to undergraduate at Berkeley. I don't believe. I know he went to undergraduate at Berkeley. I forget where he went to medical school. And he comes from poor beginnings. What about
he said start right away. Don't even on the bus headed back to the airport.
Yeah.
The thing you sell is enthusiasm and energy.
Yeah.
Confident now.
Yeah. He's a different guy than a couple of years ago. But this process makes you more confident. The end result of this process is more confidence, more self-confidence. Just the process alone builds self-confidence and self-esteem. Because, you're dealing with people that you wouldn't have dealt with in the norm. And the club that he belongs to is the shaker and mover place for Los Angeles. It's a modern club. In other words, it looks modern. It's in a penthouse of a big building downtown Los Angeles. Whereas and my club is just, you can look out his window down on my club, which is a 3-story building on Figueroa. But it's where the shakers and movers, and that's where deals get done. And what else about Dr. Joe?
You follow the steps.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's if you don't get that by now, I mean, he deviated because he hired a consultant because he wanted a shortcut. He didn't want to do any work on the internet and orthopedic care. He drove down the street. Remember I said you can drive down the street? And on 2 streets he saw 3 acute care centers. He turned back around and went home. I mean, this is in 2 blocks. And in that part of the medical industry. But when you're rolling up acute centers and you're a medical doctor, a prominent medical doctor, I don't want to bullshit you. It's easier. But it was way outside his case. He never did that. Doctors don't call on banks. Doctors don't call on Big 4 accounting firms. They don't do that. They just sit there and watch for the old patients come in and they slice on them. Or he's a surgeon, they slice on them. The other ones, they take your temperature, give you, take 2 aspirin and go home and take a nap, But
do you have a hard time? You didn't go into it too much, but do you have a hard time finding a new CEO?
Oh.
It seems tough, especially if you're entering a field that you don't know a whole lot about.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't hard. I mean, he had interviewed 3. And the guy walked away for a big job. I mean, and you'll lose people in the beginning. As he said, the board that you start with is not likely the board that you'll end with. And of course, you hear that intellectually. But when I see that, I can't read tears on weekly reports. I can't see the tears. They don't come through on the reports. But I know that, it's gut-wrenching. You spend a lot of time building up a board and then 1 or 2 leave, and it's not the end of the world. It just isn't the end of the world. You think it's the end of the world. It's I liken it to, your first puppy love, smitten with some person, and you think the whole world revolves around this slag, and now here you are 20, 30 years, well, some of your whole world still revolves around an old fucking slag, but that's for a different reason. But we're talking about the first one, and the world didn't end, did it? It just didn't. Maybe for some of you it did end, and this is the aftermath of that busted up love affair when you were 14 or 15 years old.
Did that CEO cash out his equity, or did he hold on?
No, he walked away from it.
He walked away?
Yeah. And one of the things, and what do I do? How do I get the stock back when he leaves me in Columbus? He strands me. They walk away most of the time. Because you're such a cunt. You're afeared they're going to keep the 2%. I already told you how to get what to do with the 2%. You tell them, stick it where the fucking sun doesn't shine. That's what your fucking 2%. They normally just give it back. Because they know, they check with their brother-in-law, the shyster lawyer, 2% of a non-public company, a private company is worth fuck all, nothing. You can wipe your ass with it. They give it back. He's lost 4 or 5 board members. He hasn't had any trouble. They've all given it back. And that's the norm. Once or twice a year, we have a problem. Somebody reads a fucking book, and he decides, he's going to be Custer's Last Stand over 2%. Then you can just shut down the fucking company, start another one. You can have your 2%. You shut the company and start another one. And it costs you on the net. How much is it for just a regular company? How much does it cost? $25. Start another company now. The Irish boys won't do that. I mean, they'll fight like the Maginot Line over 20 quid or 20 euros. So they won't do that.
You could just start up another company. I guess you could. You start another company, and then with you get the same boards minus him, and then just acquire for $1.
Well, but the company had nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean the
company. I didn't do it yet. Okay. Understood.
Maybe.
It's all the corporation.
Yeah, I mean it is, but that's what you worry about. And like 95% of the questions you've asked, if you never ask them, not just this week, the rest of your motherfucking miserable lives, they never had to be answered. Never. Never. The guy that he talked about as being a superstar, he's read 1 book in his whole fucking life. It's this one. He never heard of Grant. He never heard of Ty. He never heard of Tony. He never heard of Napoleon Hill. He never heard of Think and Grow Rich. He never listened to a podcast other than my stuff. He never watched the TV. Nothing. 0. 19 acquisitions later, average cost 2%. He came to the seminar 6 times, but he didn't speak English. Well, some of you might as well not speak English because you can't understand English. I used to say wrongfully that he couldn't read or write, but that's a lie. I apologize, Marcus, but that's a lie. But it sounds better that you used to go on with his knuckles on the ground. He was just one stage beyond standing up. I don't know if it's Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon. I don't know which one is which. He's Austrian. I don't know if he was related to Hitler or not. The story's getting more elaborate, Marcus, because I got to make it sound more interesting now. Because now people know that you can read and write. It's maybe you're a bastard great-great-grandson of Hitler. That's the new story going for the next 10 years. Anything else about Joe?
About the black guy.
Oh, thank you. That black dude. I thought you were gonna remind me about the black dude. We got to stick together. He is a refugee. He came from Zimbabwe. Used to be Rhodesia. Is that the one they just threw out Mugabe?
Yeah.
Okay. And he still has family there. So we were about a day or two or three ahead of the news because that's what was happening during that seminar. Mugabe was finally stepping down after 8 million years and yada yada. And but this guy was a refugee from there. And again, all the refugees come 20 pounds, 20 euros, or $20, the shirt on their back, starving to death from their countries. That's it. Well, he was one of those guys, but he went to Canada. He became a lawyer. And it's a whole story, how he got to be a lawyer and worked his way through school and starved. It's the same bullshit. They can make a soap opera out of it, Most of it's probably true, but these stories of survival get worse and worse and worse as we get older. Okay, but he's only about 35 years old, and he wound up being a refugee lawyer, trying to give back. Well, most refugee lawyers starve to death. It's no thanks. And guess what? The refugees don't pay him. Huh? Yeah. And so they think because he's a lawyer, he's a rich lawyer, but he's not, because most of his clients don't pay him. So he found out about me somehow, and he told his wife that if I don't spend the money, which is a lot of money, to go see him, I'm going to hate you in 10 years from now. He's telling his wife, the mother of his kids, I'm going to hate you. Dunn, I hope you're watching this. I hope your wife's watching this. I'm going to hate you. So I won't have to hate you in 10 years from now. I'm going to spend the money and go to that seminar and have him change my life. But he looked like he was a thief or something there, and
That's what they look like when they have a warrant.
And he was at that seminar.
Did he follow the?
Oh yeah. He's extracting himself out of his law practice, and I believe he's doing healthcare. But because he's a lawyer and he's prominent, I mean, people know who he is. He's so when he goes to board members and he goes to accountants and lawyers, he has some name recognition. And I don't know this for a fact, but his clients think he's sold out for money. Just to turn to a goddamn black whore for money now. Well, when Brian Rose went to the monetize his model, I mean, he got some awful, awful emails. He sold out. I mean, he sold out for money. That the devil, me, corrupted him, and you sold out. You're just like Peña, which I consider a badge of honor when I rolled somebody like Darth Vader to the dark side. And as recent news and Google will show you, that is my personality. Snapping their necks. And so when I roll you to the dark side, I don't want you to do this though. You just leave all this to me. But, this is just a metaphor for that. It's not, anything else about Dr. Joe? He turned his life upside down. I mean, and a lot of the people that, even though he showed the picture of the lazy employees there at the surgery where his surgery is, I mean, these guys are educated, and a lot of them are making a lot of money. They drive nice cars and they have nice houses, etc. And he still needed to change his social and economic milieu. Okay, YouTube, thank you. We'll see you tonight when we close it up.